Welcome back. We are in the Pro Transfers lab in Bozeman, Montana.
Yep. Another AI discussion.
Gonna take down AI.
I don't like to take down AI. I think AI is great if it's used the right way. It's a tool, right? It's a calculator for an accountant.
What would you say AI is great for in the realm of DTF printing and manufacturing?
Well, I think one of the things is image creation. But the thing we've been discussing lately is there's a big difference between image creation and preparation for DTF. So I think there's a very clear distinction there, and you have to be really careful how you use it, because if you use it for both creation and preparation, it can lead to some unwanted results, even if you're running your own printers.
Yeah, I mean, I think AI can crank out cool art in a couple seconds, but if you send that straight to print, it's a big gamble, you know. DTF doesn't really care what it looks like on the screen. It really cares more about what it looks like at the end, you know, the clean edges, the transparency, all the details, the powder press, all that manufacturing production side of it is ultimately what the goal is.
Yeah, I think if I dive into that just a little bit, I like to understand the why that is the case, but you have to think about the way AI works today. It's still a large language model, which means it's predicting what the next sort of pixel, for example, would be. Like when you ask AI a question like, hey, how do I make pizza at home, right? It understands, it's looked at pizza recipes, it understands things, it's guessing essentially like what the next word in the sentence is going to be. That's a very oversimplified way to look at it. But to give you a better example, if you and I are sitting here talking about horses and then you were to say, hey, it's really fun to ride blank, the next most logical word it's going to come up with is horses, because it's understanding the context in which we're working. So from an image perspective, AI has ingested and seen 1 million pictures of cats and spaceships and bicycles. So if you're saying to AI with a prompt, hey, give me a picture of a cat riding a bicycle in outer space, it's going to come up with an interesting idea, because it understands, well, the next most logical color pixel would be this from left to right and top to bottom. And so it's really great at ideating on things.
Yeah, I think if I had to simplify that into a little bit more of just global, what is AI good for? You know, it's good for image conceptualization. You know, there's some speed in getting ideas out there, you know, fast concepts, different variations, you know, that helping kind of a designer or somebody looking to get something done, like kind of getting the blueprint or the rough draft going. You know, it can also be a very good creative amplifier. You know, it's not necessarily replacing designers or graphic people within the workplace, but it's kind of replacing that blank page, or like knowing how to start or how to convey a message. And, you know, honestly, I think it's helping shops quickly mock up things for clients. But there's a lot of downfalls, and, you know, why is, and we see this all the time with artwork that comes in at Pro Transfers, AI isn't the best for image generation and creation, good for prep, but why isn't it the best for the full ideation through creation through production?
Yeah, I think you might have gotten a couple things backwards there, because I think AI is actually really great for ideation and thinking about some ideas and getting some rough drafts, but it is not good at the prep. And you could go into a lot of details on that, but here's the thing about coming from the perspective of the person that's actually printing the DTF. Like, our customer is expecting an outcome where it's like, hey, if I give you a font, it needs to be that font, and the lines need to be crisp and they need to be clean, right? And AI is fundamentally, when it comes to fonts, it can kind of get close, and on screen it can look okay, but when you actually print it, it's really noticeable that, hey, that might not be the right font, or it might take some liberties with a brand logo. Like if you had Marvel, it's like, oh, I kind of know what Marvel looks like. I kind of know what the color is, but it is not likely to be precise enough, good enough for screen, but not ending up being good enough for something that you want to print. And we mentioned that it's printing, it's working in pixels, which means it's working in a raster format, right? And that's going to make it even difficult to maintain quality when you scale it versus if you're doing something with Adobe Illustrator or Corel Draw or SVGs, you've got vector graphics. They'll scale infinitely and they'll look perfect. So just fundamentally, it's a great way to get like a rough draft. But if you're 100% relying on that for any kind of brand or precision work or anything beyond just, crafting, it can get a little bit dodgy.
Yeah, I think if I can say that maybe more concisely.
Okay.
DTF prep is more technical and unforgiving, and it requires true professionalism, the true final preparation of the artwork, rather than, again, the ideation evolution of potentially some artwork through AI. Again, you can kind of get things going, but then when you want quality, it takes a lot of skill and professionalism that I don't think AI is delivering on when it comes to DTF artwork preparation, and things like, getting the transparency right. Like you said, it's working in a raster image with pixels. So understanding how to vectorize or the specific DPI that we need for an image, so upscaling those things or just the specific logos, fonts, colors, that takes a professional twist and skill set to make sure that you're not putting garbage into the system and then getting garbage out of the system. And then you aren't getting, if you don't go through that final prep professionalism stage, you're more than likely going to have poor outcomes with your DTF artwork.
Yeah, man, there was a lot you started off simple, but then there's a lot to unpack in that. The one thing I want to unpack, though, I think that's really important is there's a lot of people, well, whoever's listening to this is probably thinking to themselves, hey, man, I've created something with ChatGPT and it turned out great. What you may not know on the background is, and we do this as well, is that whoever's printing your DTF for you likely has artwork services teams in place, and we do as well, that will literally look at it and go, okay, we see it's very easy to tell this was made with AI. We understand we may need to just do a little bit of tweaking here and there. And sometimes we ask the customer and sometimes we just don't, because it's simple enough that if we just do these couple simple things, we know the print's going to come back great. Like on a curved edge, maybe there's
what are those things?
Well, like if you've got something that's got like a curved edge on it, and it's got it's using transparencies and semi-transparencies to help smooth out that curve, because that's a technique that is done on a screen. We can sort of reduce that. Literally open it up in something like Photoshop and run some masks on it and reduce that to a point where we know it's not going to create like a white outline around what you're looking for. So that just addressing the idea that somebody's sitting there saying like, yeah, but I made it before and it turned out great. Well, I got to tell you, that's going to be dependent on who you're buying your DTFs from. If they're applying some artwork services, that's probably true. But if they're just printing whatever you give them, then you're likely going to come back with results you didn't expect. Not so much when they're really small. Like if you're doing like a 1 inch by 1 inch or a 2 inch by 2 inch, maybe you won't notice it. But you take something and you blow it up to 10 inches wide for something you're going to put on the full front of a shirt, and it could be very noticeable if somebody's not putting a little tweak here or there on it.
Yeah, for sure. Again, AI is kind of like a creative partner, but the manufacturing side, you definitely need a professional partner in that service to get, there's two sides of that, or there's a whole ecosystem support team, everything. Okay. So again, I think it falls in a place of enabling, helping with artwork creation, but for the people that, 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 really want to get quality stuff, it's not there yet, in my opinion.
Yeah, I I would sum it up by saying, should I use AI? Absolutely. I love it. I use it every day for image creation, and I use it every day for helping me speed up writing code, right? But it's a tool, and it's like, you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail, but you're not going to fix, you're not going to fix a computer with a hammer in a way. So it is a tool. You use it where it makes sense, but you can't use it for everything. And one of the points I make to people all the time about AI is, if you're a person who understands the fundamentals, like in this business, I understand RGB versus CMYK, I understand vector versus raster, right? Then AI actually makes you a superhero. If you use AI just to cheat and say, make an image and just go print it, in that case, you're just kind of cheating, and you're not going to really get like the pro results that you said, the pro results you're looking for. But really, I think it boils down to the professional results that your customer is looking for. Because if somebody's like, hey, we're Red Bull, and you make a cool Red Bull logo or image or something, t-shirt design using AI, and they're like, we love it, and then you go to print it, guess who's not going to be happy? Red Bull's not going to be happy, and you're not going to get that job the next time. So yeah, use it to ideate. I think it's fantastic. Do it all the time. Use it to kind of get your final file ready for production. Sometimes it works, but more often than not, without some level of sort of massaging and modification, preparing it for DTF print, you don't get the results you're necessarily looking for.
Yeah, I mean, things are changing fast. I'm sure it'll get better and better at it. And, but today I think for most people it can help design, but it's not a full-on replacement yet.
Yeah, and just before we end this, just a couple of like pitfalls that we see, just to really put a finer point on it. One of them is removing backgrounds, right? And where we see that come into play is somebody will create artwork using Canva or a tool that doesn't oftentimes give you the ability to export something with a transparent background. And so you decide to use AI to remove the background. Or in my opinion, and I think this is the worst case scenario, you rely on the AI tools provided by the person you're buying your image from to remove the background. So there's a lot of Shopify plugins that people just like, I got a printer in my basement, I've got a Shopify website with an image upload plugin, and one of the options is click here to use AI to remove the background, right? Man, I've seen horrible results come from doing that, because AI is trying to read, well, what color is actually the background? Where should it start? Where should it end? How should I create transparent edges? It usually mangles the image, and sometimes it may even change the image because of just generally how AI works. You might have a cat on a bike, and by the time you're done, you've got a cat on a bike with 3 wheels instead of 2 wheels, because AI's assuming you want to do something different. It's predicting what the next most logical pixel is. So it's very unpredictable. And while it seems really easy, hey, remove the background, sometimes it creates more hassle than it's worth. So that's a practical area where I've seen AI used in image prep that causes, I think, more problems than it actually solves. So to sum it up, AI, yep, great. Use it all the time. Totally recommend it. I think it's a fantastic tool, but there's a difference between creation and preparation for print. And when it comes to preparation for print, AI is not necessarily the best choice, and you might not get the outcomes you're looking for.
Yeah, I think that's enough to chew on. Tomorrow it'll be different. But I'm also curious, and let's put this on the docket, beyond image creation, where is AI gonna jump into the business and manufacturing or production side of the DTF world?
Well, because we don't want this short just discussion to become like a 3-hour long conversation, I think we'll Well, we should probably follow up with
Yeah, we'll
that.
tease it with a
Future teaser.
just a little nibble.
Don't use your teeth.
And we're out.